The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms a community that sees all things new. I am Jennifer Nuya, streaming from Cavite, Philippines. And you're watching the Disruptors Hour on TNC. We're thrilled to have you here and can't wait to deep dive into the ever-evolving and dynamic topics of leadership, change management, transformation, innovation, and disruption. So whether you are a seasoned leader, a change maker, or someone who is passionate about making a positive change in the world, you will find our show engaging, informative, and most importantly, inspiring. Our expert guests share valuable insights, strategies, and best practices that will help you excel not only in your personal but also professional pursuits. Before we dive in with our conversation with our guest today, a quick reminder from our partner organization.
Scientists and policymakers around the world are well aware of humankind's current trajectory towards the devastation of its only and precious home, planet Earth. At unprecedented rates, living species are going extinct, glaciers and ice caps are melting, air pollution worsens, and we keep piling up plastics and trash in our oceans and rivers. It's easy to feel overwhelmed and discouraged by such a disheartening trend. A battle that greed, consumption, and unwavering ambition seems to be winning, leading all of us to an extinction-level event. Most efforts over the last 50 years to reverse climate change have failed. Governments at the national levels prioritize local politics and vote-winning initiatives. Companies are designed to exceed profit expectations in order to survive. International institutions are often bureaucratic and biased. And social media has often done more harm than good. The clock is ticking. And key universal indicators point to the need to substantially revert the trend in the next 7 years to avoid the point of no return. So how can we turn this ship around? We must wake up and come together in effective collaboration to jointly get out of the mess we've gotten ourselves into, for the many millions of lives at stake, for the benefit of us all. World System Solutions, WSS, is an NGO with a vision to unite, mobilize, and align humanity in common purpose to solve the climate crisis. WSS offers educational and climate change awareness workshops, guided by profound ethical and spiritual values, and a conviction that through consciously choosing to collaborate, we can reach our personal and collective potential and synergistic cooperation to reverse the climate crisis and reach harmony amongst ourselves and with our planet. WSS intends to help humanity arrive at the collective agreements and aligned intentions necessary to attain global sustainability. We're building Phoenix, the first comprehensive technology platform to boost humanity's collective creative efforts to build a better world from the ashes of our past choices. Phoenix will radically accelerate global collaboration and innovation, It is designed and built with the guidance of ethics-based collective leadership, fully committed to serve all human beings equally and the planet as a whole. We're already developing Phoenix's first module, Climate Scale, aimed at mitigating greenhouse gas emissions by offering a one-stop shop for all carbon and methane credit projects through a platform that will reduce the risk of greenwashing and unify and supercharge the now fragmented efforts happening around the world. It will also facilitate access to the latest data and expertise, bringing together leaders, researchers, experts, projects, and resources to mitigate the greenhouse gases emissions challenge. We can change. We can do this together. Whether you're a youth activist, a committed politician, a generous philanthropist, a visionary transformational champion, an innovative project leader, or a sustainability expert, come and join the WSS team and be part of the solution the world needs today. For our planet and for the future of all living species and our very own children.
The world transformation process will affect all of us, and every voice is relevant as we move the needle on climate action within the next 5 years. You are a vital piece of the puzzle. Our collaboration will be the thread that weaves together the fabric of our efforts into a harmony quilt for the planet. There are several ways to interact with World System Solution, including donation and collaboration opportunities. Today, I am happy to welcome to the Disruptors Hour, Dr. Chakradhar Iyyunni. Thank you for joining us today, Chakri.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
All right. So, Chakri, can you please provide a brief background about yourself and the work that you do?
So thank you. So I see my role as a guide, as a lens or a mirror to folks when they do their own work. It's like a facilitator, but even more in the background. So we want to ensure that people have their own agency, their own autonomy to work, and they also are able to develop. So when you're wanting to develop, you have to be able to find yourself, and that's what I'm trying to inculcate, is to be humble about not knowing everything, and also be able to embrace unknowability. We don't know what is going on in the world at any time. Nobody does. But we are curious, and we see what is required, and we want to make a change or make a difference there. So I'm a facilitator or guide for people, and I provide a mirror for what they do, a feedback kind of a process.
Thank you for sharing that. Dear viewers, Chakri's expertise lies in risk management and decision making. As he has said, he mentors professionals and facilitates startups, group work, and team building. And he consults with project managers. So can you tell us more about your work with project managers and or entrepreneurs?
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Jen. Uh, so so firstly, we need to set a frame. The framework is either project management or an entrepreneurial framework. Where are you? Where you want to go? What resources you have? What is it that you've been doing? What is it that you've not been doing? So it's very important to do things you've not done. Because if you do what you've been doing, you will get what you've been getting. So to make change, we have to do things we have not done before. And so I focus a lot on the individual or on the team, on the people, because the engine for change are the people, not the technology. Technology is an assist is a resource for us. And so my goal is to help the people, all of the people in the team or the organization, to come together collectively and learn to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So so there are a number of steps there. It could be alignment in different ways, awareness to their conditions. Are they aware of what is happening geopolitically, what is happening technologically, what's happening in other frame of things? What is it that they are bringing that is stopping them from going forward as well? What we call inner work. Is
Mm-hmm.
there a fear? Is there a shame? Is there anger that individually or collectively they have encapsulated in themselves that they need to release before they go forward? So even though I'm not a psychotherapist, I no, I want to bring them that mirror, that where are they speaking from? Are
Mm-hmm.
they speaking from hope? Are they speaking from uh, a certain belongingness in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Without that belongingness, if they feel separated from the universe, their activities and their actions are not systemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is a little bit about my process.
Okay. So I'm listening to you, and there's a quotation that just came into my mind. Please do not quote me on this because I might not have the right person, but I think it's Albert Einstein who said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different outcome. So it's very important that we are open minded as to do, um, even if it's small steps, incremental steps, to go towards something that is not comfortable for us, and be just open minded in going towards positive change. And then you also mentioned about people doing the inner work, and that to me, it's really important because you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You have to be the change you want to see in your organization or in any sphere of influence that you are a part of. So you mentioned that as one of the challenges that entrepreneurs or individuals you are working with, how to do the inner work. What are the other challenges that you see your mentees face in their organizations or in their businesses?
Right. So I look at it as a cascading process. And so while first thing I've understood the individual and their environment, what I want uh, them to understand is where they are and a framework. So the framework, first, the framework is important. Where are you and what will you use? So it's a project management framework. It's a frame. Project management framework is essentially a radar of many activities or many dimensions that you will work on. So, for example, it could be scope, it could be time, it could be cost, risk, the people, the stakeholder management, and so on. So, the
Mm-hmm.
framework is primary, uh, primary filter for where you will go. The next step is processes.
Mm-hmm.
So how will you do what you're intending to do? And then as you define the processes, as you discuss the processes with everybody, you want to take everybody along. The next challenge comes, you do it, and as you do it you will get feedback. Is
Mm-hmm.
this working? What is working? What's not working? And you want to change. So essentially, taking a project management framework, you plan, you do the work, you execute, you do monitoring, you do the feedback, and control, and then repeat it. So, yeah. So, in this process of planning, execution, monitoring and control, and feedback, it's very important to be flexible. I know you mentioned this before. Uh, uh, Flexibility and adaptability is very important. So while we have processes and while we have goals, it's very important to be in the present moment and figure out what is the best process and the best step or the best level you want to go to. You don't want to define something too far away,
Mm.
because then you may not do your best. So
Mm.
this is uh, being adaptable about your process and about your goals
Mm.
is very important, and it takes the pressure off as well. I think a lot of people have a performance anxiety. Am I good enough? Will I do that?
Mm.
Will I be able to take care of my family or my organization, or will we not self-destruct when we look at the climate change? So I think it's a lot of pressure. So it's better to you're familiar, and I think you mentioned before as well. Thich Nhat Hanh is he speaks about being in the present moment, and I'm sure you know more about his work and his and being with how you can be in the present moment
Mm.
and yet do all of these things. I think that inner being that Thay mentions. It
Mm.
reminds us being a lotus. So you have to be a lotus. You have to bloom, remembering that you're in mud.
Mm.
The dirtier the pond, the more beautiful the lotus.
Mm. Yes. Uh, so you in your work also you work with different kinds of personalities. So some are more seasoned than the others. I wonder is it any different? Okay, mentoring or consulting with more seasoned leaders as compared to newer project managers.
Okay, let me see if I understand your question. Um, you're saying when folks are senior or they're diverse people. Okay, so newer versus senior people. Okay, so the um, actually sometimes our achievements can be our roadblocks.
Mm.
So when I work with folks who are have an achievement, I want them to kind of keep the achievements away. So, and when folks are new into the thing, the newer project managers, um, they have not been into the execution, so they're afraid of jumping into the water. So for the new folks, are you able to jump into the water not knowing what the temperature is? And so taking that leap of faith is very important.
Mm.
Does that answer your question, or do you want to explore that a little bit more?
Yes, please.
So um, so so we have our education, for example, and we have our own ways of preparing, but the world is different. So you have to be able to embrace the unknowability of the situation and work. And it doesn't
Mm.
matter if they are experienced or not. If you're experienced, it'll be harder for you to do that. Whereas the newcomers have a slight advantage. The worry for newer people is, am I good enough? The worry for those who are seniors is, am I still good enough? But it's always that there is an inner worry about their self-worth and their capability to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So but if you maintain a certain epistemic humility, you embrace the unknowability, and you see what the system needs, a calling from the system. What is it that is required? Not what is it that you want to do. What is it
Mm-hmm.
that is required in the system? Like kind of like a calling, but also you're choosing to be there. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, these three are the conditions of how a group of people, or all of us on earth, including the species, including the rivers and the mountains, how are we together to go forward? These are the three conditions that some of us have debated over the last month or so. How do we, as you're familiar with John Bryan Jones's work, and I call this collective self sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the conditions for ensuring that collective self sovereignty.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights, Chakri. So at this moment, let's take a quick break to recharge and refuel. So for our dear viewers, stick around because you will want to learn more about Chakri's work. And in the meantime, reflect on what you've heard so far and think about how you can apply these insights to your own life and career. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you after the break. The new channel is an online alternative new media platform of online shows for people on the go. We know you're busy, so we've made it easy for you to enjoy your own customized playlist of engaging, authentic, and original content. TNC is your passport to a world of Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. One of our most exciting shows is the Disruptors Hour, airing every Thursday, 10:30 a.m. Philippine Standard Time, which covers everything from leadership and transformation to innovation and disruption, all curated with your viewers in mind. And the best part is, you can watch our live changing show anytime, anywhere, live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube. Follow us on IG, listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC now. We're always looking for new partnerships and sponsorships. So if you're interested in working with us, please email now at thenewchannel.com or send us a DM. We're excited to see what we can achieve together. Before we went on a break, we were conversing with Dr. Chakradhar Iyyunni or Chakri to friends and family members. Chakri's multi-domain expertise spans oil, gas, transportation, civil infrastructure, energy, and utilities, including renewable, nuclear, and conventional power plants, automotive, aerospace, pharmaceutical, life sciences, biomedical engineering and devices, and marine ship structures. He has worked with project directors, cluster heads, senior project managers, and execution and construction managers with some of the project budgets exceeding in billions of US dollars. He has also published 9 large case studies, 7 research papers, and made a number of presentations and taught courses at reputed institutions including IIM Ahmedabad, NITIE, NMIMS, Sherpur HAL Academy. He supported graduating 6 master's students, a doctoral student, and served as examiner for 2 doctoral scholars. Chakri actively reviews research paper submissions from international conferences and journals. Let's welcome back again to show Chakri Iyyunni.
Thank you, Jen, for the very generous introduction.
My pleasure. All right. So, as you work also with project managers, I'm pretty sure that you help them more effectively manage risks and issues. So, can you tell us more about that?
Okay. So when I've looked inside, I am reminded of two very important characteristics we need to have. Okay. Um, so the important thing that I think about is courage.
Mm,
And so it reminds me of one of my friends' work in Morocco, and I'm quoting this, so I'm going to read it out. It takes courage to
mm,
trust in one's potential. It takes trust in one's potential to trust the potential in others. And I think this is the key philosophy that drives me. Um, do we have the courage? Can we trust ourselves and the trust in others? That starts the work.
mm,
The what then I look at, and what I want everybody working with me and myself is, are we taking risks? Are we going past the boundaries? I mean, we extend the boundaries. We are always on the edge. But then when
mm,
you're on the edge, you need to be very careful. So you need to build bridges to where you're going, bridge from where you are to where you want to go. You can't just leap off the cliff. So building bridges is very important. And when you build the bridge to the other side, you need to break new ground.
mm,
This is very fundamental methodology of what we call edge walkers. I'm referring to uh, a very close friend and mentor, Judy Niels,
mm,
and so Judy's is quite an inspiration. So there are so I look at myself as a child, and all these people inspiring me. So we
mm,
mentioned Thich Nhat Hanh's work. Now I'm mentioning Judy Niels' work. There's a Lois Holzman. There are other people. You, I think of myself as being in a room with pillars, and all of these people are gigantic pillars.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very cared for to be, like you were mentioning before, to take the to be in discomfort, to take the risk, but knowing that I'm cared for, I'm in good place.
Mm-hmm.
So being at ease, and then being being able to put your mind in a position of discomfort to break new ground is very
Mm-hmm.
crucial. So it
Mm-hmm.
also, I think, somewhere in the heart, it's important. What is it that the beliefs that you carry? So
Mm-hmm.
beliefs are very important. So I
Mm-hmm.
believe in people. There's no question about it. Primary, you have to believe in everybody, and even when you don't know them, even in strangers. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to believe in organizations, especially when they're able to espouse a few values. And the values that I count on is what are called teal organizations. And uh, they may not have started as steel organizations, but most organizations have learned to build trust amongst themselves. They have also
Mm-hmm.
learned to uh, support each other and constantly developing one another. They're not just learning, but they're developing, they're growing. And there is a knowledge management process that is helping them grow from learning from each other.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to wait to make mistakes. You can
Mm-hmm.
you can learn from each other's experiences. And finally, I think the key wayfinding, the pathfinding process is conscious leadership. So, what is conscious leadership? Uh, is essentially uh, helping folks use their maximum potential, maximum capability, and bringing themselves, the whole self, into the situation. So that's the conscious leadership that I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking is important.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that, Chakri. My thought is perhaps some people find it hard to see the potential in themselves because they're busy berating or blaming themselves for past mistakes. So let me tie that in with your analogy of a lotus earlier in our conversation, that the dirtier the water is, the better the lotus blooms. So perhaps we should stop blaming ourselves with the mistakes that we made in the past because we cannot do anything with them about them, but instead use those mistakes, which can be likened as the dirty water. All right, use those mistakes and then learn from them so that you can, like a lotus, bloom better. Is that
Yes.
analogy? Yeah. So I'm wondering if that analogy landed with you. And thank you also for sharing something about conscious leadership. Again, that's also being or doing the inner work. So you need to be conscious so that you can have better leadership skills. Now, so going back to helping project managers and business leaders, how do you usually help them improve their leadership and strategic thinking?
Okay. So it's a very good question. So the process that I use, uh, I keep getting reminded now, especially with all the hype and the fear of AI.
Mm,
So when you, what is a risk, and how do you perceive the risk? This is the key question that I suggest people ask, because uh, I for me, risk is a lens for understanding. and understand for evolving as well. So risk as a lens is my method, so to speak. And so in this thing, as I was mentioning, your perception is key. And the first step to having a good perception is to work together. As an individual, we will always think the risk is very, very high. When we come as a group, slowly the risk starts to reduce. This is because there are new perspectives. Everybody is having their own perspectives. And when they share and discuss the perspectives with each other, they look at data in different ways, that's when the risk reduces. I'm reminded of the seven blind men and the elephant story. In today's world, in the AI world, I've changed that story a little bit. It's seven blind men with working with seven creatures, not just one elephant, and they leave the elephant in the untouched. So it's very important, Jennifer, that we talk about what is inconvenient. So you mentioned climate change. So climate change is the elephant in the room. We People live their lives as if it's somebody else's problem. It's my government's work. Being in the global south, we tend to blame the global north. They have bigger cars, they use more electricity, they have mechanized farming, and they have other things which are not good for me. So I'm blaming them. In that, I'm losing my own power. So we should not be doing that. So while we are giving them a mirror to change, it's not an excuse for us to not be conscious and to be able to trust them as well. So I mentioned courage and trust. So is the courage and trust gives you the power. As an individual, most of us will feel in this global connected world that we don't have the power, but actually the power is with us. The power to act, the power to not be stuck, the power to dream, the power to imagine. So, and uh, when I see, for me, the inspiration is there are a couple of kids, young boys and girls in Nakiwale refugee camp in Uganda. They've come from, they've left their countries and they've come to Uganda because it's not safe for them there. And one of my friends, Sibudin, he is an artist. And when he came to Uganda, he was 13 years old. But he somehow managed to get paint and start doing those paintings and drawings. And somewhere he realized that he should be teaching that to other children as well. So when these children paint, and these are oil paints, and it's a large canvas, it's almost 3 feet by 2.5 feet type of thing. It's huge canvases. I would just be stuck even to start painting, you know. And these children, they pour their hearts out. And many times when they painted, I've asked them for name your picture, give me a story, what were you thinking of, what are you imagining, and their imagination and their hope for the world is phenomenal. And I'm like, here I am comfortable sitting in Mumbai. I have food to eat. I have a shelter. I have livelihood. I have friends. I have a purpose in life. Yet the hope is not as grounded. The hope is not as strong as those children in Nakivel in Uganda. So it's very important that imagination is very important. That hope is important. Knowing where you are in the worst of circumstances, but then imagining and then working towards expressing that art, especially art and music and some of these non-language type of things are very powerful because they convey a sense of its holistic expression. You can convey your whole sense of being and of becoming, of what you want to become. So that's where I am. I think it's a long answer for a simple question, but I hope that made sense.
It does. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Chakri. And that is very aligned, right, to your belief that we have the ability to create a fair, just, and joyous world. So I myself also, I always tell people that my message, as formative purpose, is co-create the human collective experience. So as a community, um, there's this one quotation from I'm not sure. I hope I'm not murdering her name. Nick, you have to help me here. The Buddhist monk, right? She says that the next Buddha will be us, a community of us creating a more beautiful world.
Yes, yes, Thich Nhat Hanh, Thich,
Yes.
um, he there's a small podcast. Maybe we can share it later with our audience. In that, he discusses that the next Buddha will not be an individual; it will be an enlightened community, and
Mm,
not just one. I think we kind of stuck in one Buddha, one enlightened community. No, there will be hundreds of Buddhas. Uh, just imagine the earth with every community being a walking Buddha.
mm,
So that's the sense of a fair, just, and joyous world.
mm. Yeah. All right. So, uh, I wonder, is project management a way of life? And if it's not for you, how can you make it as part of your everyday life, not only in the boardroom, not only in your within the confines of your office?
Lovely question. Lovely question. You're taking me back into my heart. Um, so um, I'm coming from a research background, from an academic background, and then I moved back from the US to India, and now I'm in the engineering, back in the engineering world, and then back into the construction world.
Mm,
And when you're in a company which is has services, as manufacturing, as construction, all of these things uh, are actually changing the world. So these are real technologies. When you're thinking, it's a different kind of work. But when you're seeing all these things happening, it's uh, it's very grounded. So the question you're asking is, without training in project management, what is one thing all of us can do? How can we become project managers for ourselves in our lives? And so, so I'll just define a project in the way a PMI defines it, and then we will take it from there. So basically, a project is something that has a start and has a finish, and it has a uniqueness. So the starting of a project is now, and the finishing can be in a few seconds, few days, few hours, few days, few months, or whatever, depending on the scale of the project. So if we talked about conscious leadership, so if you're conscious of the present moment, you're now, whatever you do is a project. So for me, this conversation is a project. For me, even breathing is a project. We do a lot of things every day. We wake up, we brush, we go for exercise, we shower, we get ready. All of these things look mundane, they look everyday things, but they're also projects if you do it
mm,
consciously, because you're going into a day which is going to be unique. It's going to be different. It's going to be new. So, can you do all of these things in new ways so that you are ready for the newness all through the day? So, my only suggestion is don't do anything in a way you've done before. Take risk, do it differently. Sometimes the outcome will not be as good, and you will know. Sometimes you will surprise yourself. But constantly changing will keep developing your capacity to accept and to embrace this newness and to be in the world in a new way. So everybody is a project manager. So this is what I mean, project management as a way of life. So for instance, our life is a project because we are born one day and we leave the earth another day, and our life is the duration of the project, and everything we do in our life is unique, and the people we meet are unique, and we work with unique people. The situations are unique, the conditions are unique, the laws are changing, technology is changing, everything is unique. It's just that, are we aware to this uniqueness, um, and then alive to it? So
Mhm.
that's my project management as a way of life.
That's very enlightening. Thank you for sharing that fresh take on project management. I have not really thought of it or of life that way. I think that will be somewhat challenging for people nowadays. Now that sometimes when we wake up, we go through our days on autopilot, not being very mindful about the things that we do. And then at the end of the day, we sometimes think, where has the day gone? And more so, sometimes you feel that you were born, you went into toddlerhood, into adolescence, and then several blinks, and you realize, oh, I'm already 50 or 60 years old. Where have the days gone by? But
Yeah.
if someone would be willing to take the risk,
Hmm.
take up your challenge on that,
Hmm.
take life as a project, then I think that life will be more
Hmm.
lively. I
Hmm.
don't know of a better term right now. Will be more enriching, perhaps.
Yeah.
Right?
So you bring about very interesting thing. Um, so you're talking about busyness of our lives and tiredness, fatigue, and the feeling of being stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our common experience. As Buddha says, suffering is important. I mean, suffering is a way of life. I mean, life is suffering. But Buddha also says that suffering is the portal for transcendence.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're busy, you're tired, you're stuck, you're in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
This is the place from where you need to go forward. If you are already taking risks and you are like our exemplars like Thich Nhat Hanh and others, then you don't need to listen to this conversation between Jennifer and Chakri. So all of us are, I mean, even I and you, we get busy, we get tired. So how do we build this energy? And
Mm-hmm.
again, going back to that consciousness, and what saints like Thich Nhat Hanh or Kabir in India and in elsewhere. So it's just giving ourselves the moment, just the deep breath. That's, I think, the sense um, of noticing your breath
Mm-hmm.
as we speak gives you the gap to be aware that you're too busy, you're too become mechanical, you become too repetitive. Now let me change.
Mm-hmm.
Give
Mm-hmm.
yourself that gap, give yourself that little bit of that leisure. The leisure needn't be hours and a glass of wine and in your favorite in a comfortable sofa. No, it can be in that moment, just for that second, and
Mm-hmm.
then leap forward. So,
Mhm.
so our so it's good that we are busy, tired, and stuck, because then
Mhm.
we can reinvent ourselves.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Chakri. This is a very wonderful conversation. I'm learning a lot, and I'm sure that our dear viewers are also learning a lot. And thank you for sharing your presence, your energy, your hope with our audience. So, how can our audience continue to connect with you, follow you on social media so that they can learn more about your work?
Yes, thank you so much for that. I just want to mention an organizational consultant who's very. I follow him from a distance, and he
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of three things all the time. How are we sensing? What's our sense making? And how do we
Mm-hmm.
decide? How do we do this or that? How do we choose good over evil kind of things? And how do we make meaning out of it? I think human experience is a meaning making experience. So shout out to Jeff Marlowe in UK, and his Indianness that appeals to me as well. And so you can reach me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the easiest way. I respond quite often to that, and then we quickly get on a call. Um, I I like to use different channels of communication. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so I may post on somebody's message, a comment on somebody's message. I may chat something, then I quickly want to change to voice or change to
Mm-hmm.
video, or do a little bit of asynchronous communication to reflect, to get people to introspect and then write back. So a little bit of writing, a little bit of speaking, all of those things, mix it up, because then that makes the dynamism. So LinkedIn is the easiest way to
Mm-hmm.
connect with me, and happy to um, more so if I've not done what you've done before, and I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
lots of things in the world that I've never done, I've never thought
Mm-hmm.
of. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to work with your viewers and work with anybody in the world. And I think the I'm really excited to hear about the Phoenix platform, and
Mm-hmm.
the platform that it's the transformation that it's envisioning for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that it's come into my radar the last few weeks as well.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for choosing to spend your Thursday morning with us. Thank you for choosing to be a part of our community of change makers and key opinion leaders.
The pleasure is mine. Namaste to
Mhm.
everybody.
Okay. So, dear viewers, thank you all so much for being here. I'm pretty sure that you have been empowered to lead with purpose, drive change with impact, embrace transformation with agility, innovate with creativity, and disrupt with boldness. So keep on connecting with Chakri through his LinkedIn profile. So see you again next Thursday, August 3, 2023, 10:30 a.m. Philippine Standard Time. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening depending on where you are in the world. God bless everyone.